Have you ever wondered, like someone ordinary, born on any corner of the world, can reach the top of millions' faith? How has a simple Argentine boy become the spiritual leader of billions of people around the planet? That's exactly what we will find together in today's Impact episode. Pope Francis's surprising, and inspiring history. But before we start this exciting journey, I want to remind you of something very important. You are here for a greater reason. It's not just to hear a good story. It is also to train your English, develop your ear to language, approach the sounds, words, the emotions of a new language that can change the course of your life. And if you happen to have difficulty, you feel that learning English is complicated, confusing, or even frustrating sometimes, I understand, and you are not alone. Thousands of people feel the same thing. But let me tell you something. It is just listening to stories like this, connecting with real and powerful stories, that you will feel increasingly comfortable with the language. You will train without realizing it. It will grow without forced effort, and you will learn with emotion, as naturally as possible. Now yes, let's dive into this trajectory that seems to have come out of a movie. But it's absolutely real. Buenos Aires, Argentina. An ordinary day. In December 1936, Jorge Mario Bergoglio is born. Son of Italian immigrants, simple family, middle class. From an early age, he didn't draw attention for the great deeds, but for an unusual sensitivity. It was that kind of child who watched more than he spoke, who liked silence, who saw the pains of others, and really cared. He grew up in a common neighborhood, played soccer on the streets like any Argentine boy, loved his grandmother, his family, and gradually began to feel something different. A restlessness that many ignore, but he decided to listen. Imagine this boy now becoming young, intelligent, curious, and at the same time humble. It starts to study chemistry. Yes, chemistry. Nothing seemed to indicate that he would one day be white on the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica. But real life is made of curves, not straight lines. And it was precisely in one of these curves at the age of 21 that he had an experience that would change everything. A deep spiritual transformation. A call. He enters the seminar, becomes Jesuit, and there begins a new stage. And do you know what is most beautiful in this part of the story? Is that Jorge did not want power, no recognition. He wanted to serve. I wanted to be where no one wanted to go. I wanted to be among the poor, the sick, the forgotten. It was different. I lived simply. I took the bus, cooked his own food, visited arrests. He walked through the slums. He was a priest who walked, that he heard without haste, that preached with the heart. And now you think to me, how many leaders in the world today can keep this spirit of simplicity? How many still see greatness in the little things? Jorge Bergoglio grew inside the church, but never distanced himself from the people. Became archbishop, then cardinal. And even with the title, with the prestige, with official commitments, he was still the same. Humble, welcoming, a true shepherd. Then came the year 2013, and the whole world followed a historic moment. Pope Benedict XVI renounces office, something that has not happened for centuries. The conclave meets in secret. Thousands look forward to a name, for a white smoke. And then, there he was. The world listens to a hitherto little-known name outside Latin America. Jorge Mario Bergoglio, the first Jesuit pope, the first pope of the Americas, the first Pope Francis. Francisco, as Saint Francis of Assisi. simplicity, love to the poor, deep humility. And at that moment, something changed in the Church and in the world. The Pope, who refused to live in the Vatican's luxurious rooms, that insisted on continuing to wear the same shoes, that called on strangers, who cried with mothers who lost children, that faced the powerful, who spoke of justice, ecology, human dignity with courage and tenderness at the same time. This story is much more than a biography. It is a mirror for all of us, because Pope Francis' life reminds us that greatness is not to be served, but to serve. It is not what you have, but what happens, and that anyone from anywhere can make history, if you decide to live with love and purpose. And in the next block, we will dive even deeper into the mission, the challenges and impacts this man has and still have worldwide. Get ready to get emotional with the details of your leadership, your courageous decisions, your words that touch the soul. But before, remember what I told you at the beginning? Listening to stories like this, in English or Portuguese, will turn you inside and out. It will inspire you. It will teach you. It will make your English grow along with your faith, your motivation, your sense of purpose. And that, my friend, is priceless. Now imagine with me, you assume the greatest spiritual position in the Christian world. The look of billions of people is upon you. The tradition weighs. The responsibility is immense. And yet, you choose the path of simplicity. This is exactly what Pope Francis did. From the first moment as the leader of the Catholic Church, he showed the world that it would no longer be a palace pontiff. It would be a pastor between the sheep, the Pope who washes the feet of prisoners, who visits refugee camps, that does not hide behind empty speeches, but speaks with the heart, that does not point to the finger, but extends his hand. Francis began to reform, not only the structures of the Church, but also the hearts of the faithful. Now think to me for a moment. How can someone be able to be humble? How does one surrounded by protocols and titles decide to remain accessible, human, close? This is where the power of true leadership lives. He faced controversies. He caught the attention of the world by saying that the Church should be a campaign hospital, a healing place for soul-wounded, not a court to judge the imperfect. He spoke about the poor, the immigrants, about the environment, about young people, with such authentic strength, which he has conquered even the most distant hearts of faith. And do you know what he repeated the most? That God is mercy, that everyone has a place, that no one should be excluded. During his early years of pontificate, Francis promoted internal reforms, faced scandals with transparency, and brought up urgent themes that many avoided discussing: climate crisis, global inequality, the value of compassion in hate. And that, it touched the world. But it also brought criticism. There were those who did not like their direct posture, their desire to change. There was resistance. There were attacks. But he remained firm, with a meek voice but unshakable spirit, with tired eyes but full of hope. Now it takes a deep breath and thinks of the impact of all this. A almost 80-year-old man facing the greatest tensions on the planet, walking slowly but turning history with each gesture. And the most impressive is that, even though he was a pope, he was still, simply, Jorge, the same man who walked a subway, who spoke slowly, that he heard with patience, who said, "Pray for me," instead of putting themselves as someone above others. This humility has become a trademark and inspired millions. And how can this all help you? How does this story touch your life now? I explain to you. Pope Francis's journey is, above all, a reminder. No matter where you come from, what matters is who you decide to be. It is not the title that defines you, but your daily actions, your ability to listen, to serve, to love. He was not born different from you. There was no superpowers, but there was a choice. The choice to live with purpose, to put yourself in the other's shoes, to transform the world, starting with the heart itself. And you can do the same. It doesn't matter if you're learning English now, you feel insecure, if you think you're late. Each step, however small, is a seed. The English you study today, listening to stories like this, will open doors tomorrow. It will give you access to new worlds. It will make you grow inside and out. And when you feel you are tiring, remembers Pope Francis, remember how he persisted, how he embraced his mission even when he looked too big. And know, you can also embrace your mission. You can also make a difference in your family, in your neighborhood, in your work, in the world. The Pope teaches us that the secret is not rising loudly, but in a deep down, in diving into the pains of others, in walking with empathy, in speaking with truth. And that's why your story keeps echoing, because she is real. It is possible. It's human and deeply inspiring. In the next and last block, let's close this journey with a golden key. Let's reflect on the legacy that Pope Francis is leaving to the world, and especially what we can learn from him to apply in our own lives. And of course, how can all this help you go even further in your English learning and your personal journey? So stay with me until the end, because this story still has a lot to teach you. Now that you have known Pope Francis's trajectory, may be wondering, what can I take from this to my life? What is the story of a religious leader, born in Buenos Aires, and who has come to the Vatican, has to do with me, with my routine, my challenges, my dream of learning English? The answer is simple. Everything. Because Pope Francis's life is, in fact, the portrait of a human journey. He teaches us that it does not matter its origin, its fears, its limitations. If you decide to walk with faith, serve with love, and act true, the fruits will come. And the most beautiful thing is that he never let the size of the position cancel the humility of the heart. And do you know what is even more amazing? It is realizing that the real success is not in the lights of the stage, but in the firmness of those who stand even when no one is looking. Francis is this: someone who has chosen to be whole, even in a world that only asks us to appear. Someone who believes that transformation begins with love, not power. That chose compassion as an answer, and simplicity as a way. And this is a valuable lesson for those learning English as well. Because learning a new language is not just about decorating words. It's about building bridges. It's about opening up to the new. It is about allowing you to make mistakes, try again, persist. And especially, it is about humility. That same humility that made the Pope ride the bus even though he was cardinal. That made him ask for prayers even being Pope. You may be starting now. You may think it is still far from fluency. But remember that. Even the big masters one day were beginners. The important thing is to continue. One step a day, one word at a time, a story by episode. And if you heard here, it's because something has touched your heart. Perhaps it was the way Pope Francis faced the challenges. Or maybe it was your humanity, your courage to love without barriers. Or perhaps it was the simple fact that, even at the top, someone can remain true. So now, it's your turn. Start today to apply what you have learned, not only in English, but in life. Be more attentive to the people around you. Be more patient with yourself. And above all, never stop growing. And if you believe you can go further, believe it, because you can. Now, I want to leave you with an inspiring phrase that carries the spirit of everything we say here. The true greatness is to become small to fit the other's heart. If this message told you, if this story has inspired you in any way, leave your like here in the video, subscribe to the channel, and activates the bell to continue receiving content that play, teach, and that help you grow. And of course, comments down here what thrilled you most in Pope Francis's life. I will love to know. Thank you so much for being here, for trusting this journey and wanting to learn English with soul and purpose. We are in the next video. Until then, and keep believing in the power of your walk.